wanted to make this video to touch on the concept of halal and haram. Halal means lawful and haram means forbidden. This concept, the way it's misunderstood, it's easiest to explain when it comes to food. I come from a non-Arabic culture. We do not speak Arabic, but we use this word, halal. So most food in the Bosnian community is not halal. And people don't see a big deal with it, you know. And I personally don't care what people eat, okay? But this concept of knowledge, knowing these things is important to me. At least if you're going to do what you do, you should do it with enough information to where you made an educated decision. That's the only reason why I say anything about it. Not because I personally care what goes in your stomach. I really don't. But I do care what I do. And I do care about knowledge. So, because we use this Arabic word when we talk about this concept, this topic of food, I personally believe that we're pretty misled in regards to what we're doing. So, I think the reason why we don't see it as a big deal, that we don't see eating forbidden food as a big deal, is because we don't understand the whole concept because we don't use the correct terminology. When somebody asks, is this food halal? What they're actually asking is this food lawful? And if you consider yourself a Muslim, right, and you own a restaurant, you own a store, and you say no, it's not halal. What you are saying is this food is not lawful. I am selling unlawful product, stuff that you should not consume. So that's the interaction. Is this food halal? No. Okay. The interaction is actually, is this food lawful? And the seller says no, it's not lawful. So then it's on you to decide whether you're going to go have a vegetable sandwich, a salad or something, or you're going to buy this stuff and eat it, even though you know it's not lawful. Eat what you want, but that's it. But God does say in the Quran, in 6th chapter, I forget exactly which verses, but it's in there. And do not eat that on which the name of God has not been pronounced. Surely it is an indecency. And now the rest I'll paraphrase because I don't remember exactly the words, but he says, and the devil will send his companions or adherents or something to that effect to argue with you about it. And that's exactly what happens. I mean, I've had Muslims, people who truly see themselves as deep Muslims, and they might be. They're probably a better person than I am. Completely neglect this. I have seen imams eat food that is unlawful for us to eat. These are the leaders of our community. These are people that are supposed to be teaching us right from wrong. Not all of them, but I have actually seen this. And I think it is simply because of pure language that we are doing this. At least when you take the language confounding variable out of this equation, then you can at least see if somebody's being sincere or not. But I do think the language is a big problem. I don't talk about this because I care what you eat. I talk about this because I care what you know. Because I was ignorant. I read the Quran. I learned these things. And now I just want to share them. And what you do with this knowledge is really irrelevant to me. Because I don't stand before God for you. I don't stand before God for anybody. Nor can I do anything more than the great among us, the prophets, have done. And they've done literally the same thing. They said, hey guys, this is forbidden for you. Don't do it. God forbids it. And then people say, okay, we'll either do it or we won't do it. And then you have the stories in the Quran of people that said, I don't care what you say, you're crazy. We're going to do this. What happens to them? Read the Quran. All of them decay and all of them are eventually destroyed. how they're destroyed doesn't really matter. But the people who listen to the rules and obey them, who are they? They are the people we venerate. They are the apostles among the Christians. They are the ashab among the Muslims. All they were is they heard a law and then they obeyed it. That's it. So when you hear that your food is unlawful, you should really consider this. It doesn't matter why God made it unlawful. It is unlawful. Another misconception among the Muslims is they'll stay away from pork, but then they will eat forbidden food. What's the difference? Pork is forbidden. That's the only reason why you don't eat it. Not because it's pork, not because it's unhealthy, not because it's anything else except forbidden. God says that pork is haram. That's it. That's why you don't eat it. But God says that this is forbidden too. There's no difference. You cannot make a logical claim that that eating pork somehow makes up for you eating unlawful food. Like I said, the only reason why you're not eating it is because somebody told you it's unlawful. And it is unlawful. Well, God says these other things are unlawful too. God says that you cannot, for example, God says that you cannot eat something that has been killed with a violent blow. The animal has to be slaughtered mercifully. And there are ways to do it. But common practice in the United States of America is to, quote unquote, stun the animal before you slit its throat. You just basically whack it really hard in the head, a violent blow. It goes into a seizure. You're not really doing anything merciful to this animal. A merciful way to do it, as brutal as it looks, is to cut the animal's throat while it's calm, while it does not see a knife. And this, I'm not going to say that this is a revelation from God on how to do this, but I am telling you, from a medical perspective, consider this. When a person faints, it can happen like that. Okay? I think a lot of people have experienced what we call orthostatic dizziness or orthostatic hypotension. When you stand, sometimes when you're real dehydrated, if you stand up real fast, you can get super dizzy and faint. That is what cutting the carotid arteries does. It immediately stops the flow of blood to the brain. And although you may have nervous twitches, you may actually move, the brain is gone. That blackness that you feel when you fainted, that is what the animal feels. So yes, it looks brutal and the animal is twitching and all of that, but the brain is gone, and we know this. We can experience it on ourselves. The brain shut off. But when you whack it like that, I don't know if you ever got hit in the head real hard, that creates panic. That you can still be alive. You shouldn't kill these animals when they are in a state of panic, as it's done. And of course, so not only are you eating something that's unlawfully killed in an unlawful way, but nobody pronounces the name of God. Nobody says in the name of God, most compassionate and most merciful. What they are required to say on the food as they kill it. Nobody does that here. That is another reason why this food is unlawful to you. And people are going to argue with you about it. That is what God tells us. Even people who see themselves deeply in faith. But you have to resist this temptation to give in. Some of these people are going to appear more religious than you. But you know the truth. It's in the book. They can't change the book. What's in the book is what's in the book, and that is where you should get your confidence from. That is where you should get your laws from. I don't care if the Imam does it. I don't care if the Grand Mufti of Mecca does it. They do not have the authority to change all of these things. And of course, our personal desires also play an effect in this. It took me several years to learn to like a vegetable sandwich. If you put enough mustard on it, honestly, it just feels like a turkey sandwich. But you can eat it. So a lot of people are going to argue that, oh, well, God says that it's okay when you don't have anything else to eat, but you have plenty of other stuff to eat. You can be a vegetarian. You have that option. There are plenty of people who are Muslims who are vegetarian, and they live just fine. As a matter of fact, they live healthier lives. You're not starving. When you're starving, God says, yeah, you can eat, but you know if you're starving or not. You know if you're starving or not. It doesn't matter to me what you do. Again, it matters to me what you know. Because of what I went through. I did not know anything, and I listened to people who appeared to have knowledge but did not. Or they had wrong knowledge. Knowledge created by men, by people, to circumvent the laws of God in order for them to be able to do whatever it is that they desire to do. This happened with this as well, with food. I want you to know this because you should know it. If you claim to be a Muslim, then you should know it. What you do with it, it is entirely up to you. That has been a pattern with every society from the beginning till now. Somebody tells these people what God revealed. Whether this is just a regular person or a messenger of God, is irrelevant. Messengers of God were just preachers. They were just preachers. And they told the people, here are the rules. Simple, simple, simple rules. And those who heard it and followed it, we venerate them. We venerate them. We say these were great people. Whether we're Christians or Muslims or whatever, we all say these are great people. And what do we say about people who heard these laws and didn't follow them? These were the wicked ones. These are the people that deserve to get destroyed. These are the enemies of the good. So if you hear these laws and you refuse to obey them, then which group are you? Which group are you? Nobody's saying that you're going to be perfect, but you know what you're doing. You know what you know, and then you know what you do with that knowledge. And I'll end with this, since we're talking about knowledge. In the Surah Jummah, I don't know the number, but in the chapter called Jummah, God gives us an example of the Jewish people, because they are one of the groups that came before us. So whether God is talking about Midian or Ad or Thamud or any of those peoples, those are all examples of people that came before us, and Jews are just another example. God says those who were given the Torah and did not observe it as they should have, their example is like an example of a donkey carrying a load of books. Evil is an example of people who basically disobey God. I forget how the verse ends, but that's basically the gist of it. So, if you are given the laws of the Quran, whether you hear them from me or you read them yourself from the book or whatever, and you do not observe them, you are going to be like the enemies, the people that we actually look down upon. And God gives you a description, gives you an example of people who have done that before you. And God says that these people are like dumb animal, like a dumb donkey, who is carrying a book that he cannot read nor get any useful knowledge from. So that is the comparison that God uses, and that comparison applies to everybody, no matter what book you got. It doesn't matter if you have the Torah or if you got the Quran. If you got the Quran and you do not observe it in a manner that should be observed, you do not follow these laws, then you, to God, you are a dumb animal that cannot draw any knowledge from anything. To you, the book is as useful as it is to the donkey. You have to consider that. So this simple concept of food, it's an easy concept to understand, but it applies in a more general manner of lawful and unlawful. It's not just about food. Eat what you want. Now you know what God said. Now you know that just not eating pork is not enough. So now if you watch this, if you heard this, I don't care if you watched this, listened to it, or read it in the Quran yourself, you know the law. You know what is lawful, you know what is unlawful, and now you can either be the donkey or you can actually observe it as it should be observed, at least what you know. And then you should always seek to learn more. So that is all. That's all. I just wanted to say that because it is more than just about food. It is about language. It is about sincerity. It is about lawful and unlawful. It is about faith in general. But food is an easy way to explain it. Good luck.